like the course catalog. So Justin, if you ever want to get the recording or anything else, it'll always be in the course catalog. But this is going to be a semi-consistent deal breakdown. I've got acquisition partners like Justin who are working all day to lock up deals, and then they'll bring deals to guys like me, and we'll go out and dispo them. But Justin, first, just let everybody know who you are and what you're doing in the community, and then we'll get to the deal breakdown.
Yeah, for sure. So first off, thanks for having me on, Chris. So yeah, I'm in the Dallas market as well. Primarily, I'm doing wholesaling. I've done like flips in the past. I used to build houses, but got burnt out on all that stuff. So wholesaling is a lot more stress-free for the most part, as far as where I'm at in my life now. So yeah, right now I'm on the acquisition side. It's just me. I got a team of like VAs that help me out with cold calling, lead management, and that sort of stuff. But acquisitions is all on me. And then, Chris helps out on the dispo side. So it's been good. I started probably 3 years ago, and it was just like very off and on, just trying to figure out the business. And I finally feel like after, 2-3 years of being in it now, where I'm finally starting to get some consistency with it. So it's been a lot of fun. Definitely starting to ramp up a little bit more. So it's fun getting to work with guys like Chris and Anthony and doing deals together.
And when did you start wholesaling?
So I joined up with like a acquisitions team like a year ago. Mm-hmm. So I would say full time, like in the business for about a year now. Before that, I was by myself trying to figure it out. And like, to be honest, I like failed the first time around and went back, got a W-2 job, went back to building. And absolutely hated it. I'm like, man, I left this life a long time ago, and like I went back to it, and it was just really to pay the bills at that point. And something just never felt right about going back. Like I feel like I kind of gave up on it and quit, and something was in my heart to get back into wholesaling. So I wanted to do it a little bit differently. So I joined up with an acquisitions team in Dallas that was doing like 15 to 20 deals a month. And their marketing budget was like $80,000 to $100,000 every single month. Yeah. And I wanted to get with that team because I was like, clearly I'm missing something. Like, I didn't succeed the first time around. Like I see other people doing it. So like, what are they doing? So I joined up with that team for 6 months, like closed some deals there. But funny enough, I ended up getting fired. And like, that was the first time I ever got fired from a job. Wow. And so, that was about 6 months ago. And I had a choice at that point, whether, it was like a crossroads in my life, whether I wanted to go back into building or stick with wholesaling, and decided to stick it out. And it's been a blessing ever since. I'm so glad that I stuck with it.
Yeah, I love it. I've been on the sideline and seen you crush it the last 6 months, and we've discussed that privately as well. But today we're going to talk about a deal that you got from cold calling. Mm-hmm. Jumping to the end, we made a $37,500 assignment fee. But let's first discuss, how did you even generate the motivation, the lead from a seller? So what was your lead source? Was it cold calling? Mm-hmm. Was it coming from a VA? How did that first conversation go? And then when did it come to you?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, I got a team of cold callers. I scaled up to 6 cold callers right now, but when we got this lead, I think I only had 3 going at that time. So the way our process works is cold caller will reach out, once they generate the lead, they're going to send it into our system. I have a lead manager that qualifies the lead. So he pushed it over. He will mark it as a hot lead if he senses, the motivational pillars are there. Mm-hmm. I want to say with this one, he did mark it hot. Okay. And so I reached out like as quick as I could. And yeah, it was like a great lead from the jump.
Okay. So let's start there. When you guys are cold calling, what does that initial outreach look like? What does that script sound like?
Funny enough, I hire like a turnkey cold call company. So I don't even know what their script is, to be honest with you. I pay them every month. They generate the lead. And once it comes in, we qualify it from that point. So it's really hands off. I've done it the other way before, where you're trying to hire cold callers, train them, you're managing them every day, you're doing the payroll. It's just like one more headache on top of an already challenging business as it is that I didn't want to deal with. And so I got with like a mentor as I left my acquisitions company, and he recommended this like turnkey cold call company. And so that's how I got connected with them.
Got it. Okay. So you're unsure of the script, but they get what they deem as a hot lead.
Mm-hmm.
For you guys, is that a live transfer? Or have you guys considered that in a live transfer being, hey, your cold caller has a warm or hot lead on the phone?
Mm-hmm.
I've got my acquisitions manager and they're calling you where the seller never hangs up. Is it a live transfer or just a hot lead? You call them back when you can?
Yeah, we just call them back when we can. That is something that we can definitely do better about is, if the lead manager or cold caller generates the lead, if it is hot, like to go ahead and do a live transfer. We probably are missing out on some opportunities, like not implementing that. But where I'm at right now, it's just like I'm doing this full time, lead manager's always there. So, once the lead is generated, we're reaching out within 24 hours. I mean, it's pretty quick.
Got it. Okay. So for this one, your VA calls, they deem it a hot lead because of their motivation. It gets passed to you. So how does that first call go from you with the seller? And then what was the time lapse from deemed a hot lead to you making a call?
Yeah. So, lead manager will qualify it. So once it gets over to me, the way I look at closing now is a lot different than like how I looked at it before. I'll have my lead manager actually get all the condition up front. Mm-hmm. I don't even talk about condition for the most part when I get on the phone. My whole conversation is like, first, like figuring out like, why are we on the phone together? What problems are you dealing with? And like, let me just really try to understand where you're coming from. From there, I want to get all the objections out of the way. You had a really good guest come to the DFW Doing Deals meetup. I think his name is Jock. Mm-hmm. And I've actually implemented a few of his things that he taught during that, but I like to get all the objections out of the way up front. So I usually talk about, hey, who's a decision maker? What's your timeline? If we were to make you an offer, when are you looking to make a decision? And that way, when you get to the end and you make your offer, really you shouldn't have any objections at that point in a perfect world. Most of the time it doesn't work out like that, but that's
essentially you're trying to close them in the beginning by knocking down all the objections, and then the rest of it's just problem solving. If you can solve their problem, you already know who the decision maker is. You already know if they can make that decision, and then you get in a problem solving mode.
Yeah, exactly.
So you start off on I love that you don't talk about condition. You leave that to the VA. Now we're getting personal. So you make a personal connection and you make it about problem solving. So what was the seller's problem that you had to solve to get a deal done?
I got a question before that.
Okay, go ahead.
What type of list was it?
Great question.
That's a good question. Let me look that up. I have my sheet up. It was on a vacant property list. And the property actually wasn't vacant, which is the funny thing.
Okay, so you pulled just the flat out vacant, or did you add anything on top of that?
I mean, really just like 30% more equity, like your typical, like just run of the mill, like no bigger than 2,500 square feet, single family, 3-bed, 2-bath, like just your bread and butter, like investment property.
Got it. Love it. Okay. So that happens. And then what was the motivation? What was the problem you needed to solve?
Yeah. So this seller, she lived out of the city. She lived around the Austin area.
And this property is in Dallas, in the Oak Cliff area.
Yeah. This property was in Dallas. She had someone staying in the property. It was like, it's a really weird situation. It was like her friend was staying there, but wasn't paying rent. And like sounded exactly like how a squatter would sound. But then like, she's like, but it's my friend. And I'm like, he doesn't sound like much of a friend if he's not like taking care of your property and paying you rent and like doing all that sort of stuff. So there was like a like property like distress there as far as like the guy that was in there wasn't taking care of it. On top of that, she was out of the city. She was an older lady and like doesn't have a lot of family and friends in the Dallas area. Okay. And so for her, managing that property became a headache. She had a lot of medical things going on as well. And like her property taxes on her personal house and on this house were starting to get behind. And she was starting to owe a bunch of money. And then on top of that, like her motivation really was, and before I say this, like she was like very much like there, like mentally, but she like has a shopping problem. So like, I don't know if y'all seen those ads on like the late night like shows, and they just pitch you any product that like comes out. Like apparently she was like addicted to that, and she had filled up like 5 storage units just full of those kinds of products. And so she's falling behind on those storage unit payments. She's falling behind on her property taxes. She's living just off of like, you know, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, that sort of stuff. So like financial distress too, on top of property distress. So there's just a lot of motivation there.
Yeah. So financial distress, tired landlord, has a friend taking advantage of her. She's not local. Yeah, a ton that's stacking on her. How long did she own the property? Do you know? Do you remember?
I don't. I want to say she owned it for a while, like I would say over 15, 20 years.
Okay. And was this a one call where you guys you learned all that information in one call, or is it several follow-ups, and what did that look like?
So yeah, I mean, for this particular seller, she was like pretty open on that first call about most of this stuff. We did make her an offer like that following day, and she had mentioned like our offer was like the absolute lowest that she had received. And every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, okay, at least I didn't overpay for something like right off the bat. But yeah, we made that offer on that second call. Like, just it was very cordial, and it was like, hey, you know, I just can't go that low right now. And, you know, the way I usually like run my calls is just like, hey, totally get it. Like, first off, I'll ask like, how close can you get to that number?
Which is a line we use in Dispo as well.
Mm-hmm.
We get people up a couple thousand just off of one question.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that question alone, like I've gotten sellers down like 30, 40K just from that question.
Yeah. And so what was her original asking price, and what was your first offer?
I believe she originally wanted somewhere in like I want to say 170 to 180 originally.
Okay. 170 to 180 for everybody who's listening. We had a 270 ARV on this property. Lady's asking 170. We deemed it with about 50K in repairs, which maybe we'll get to that a little bit later, but ARV's 270. She's asking 170. By this time that you're having that phone call and getting an asking price, you already have an idea on condition. Maybe you don't have photos, but you know the condition from the cold call.
Yeah, so I'll look at the cold call notes, and then one other thing I'll do too is like go on Google Street View. Most of the time, I mean, you can tell the property's condition just by looking at the outside. I mean, you can see the AC unit, you can see the roof, you can sometimes see if there's cracks in bricks, and that sort of stuff. So, you know, you can see if there's abandoned cars in the driveway. There's a lot you can see, and I do everything virtually. Like, I used to go on in-person appointments all the time. And every time I go on an in-person appointment, I've never gotten the deal. And I don't know why that is, but you'd think it'd be the opposite. Like, I don't know if I'm like intimidating or like, you know, whatever. But like, But virtually for whatever reason, like I've had a lot more success. So I'm just using the tools like at my disposal to try to like get the best idea of the condition. Most of the time too, when I'm talking to sellers, they'll just bring up condition, even though I don't even ask for it. So she's mentioned like during the call, like, hey, property does need work. Like the friend in there tried renovating some of it, but didn't do a great job. And that was kind of like all I need to hear. And then I can get a good idea of what I'm looking at.
Understood. So you make a low offer, the lowest offer that she has. She's at 170, and she's told you that you're the lowest offer, meaning she's shopping around getting other offers. How in the world did you guys come to an agreement when you're 70K apart and you got competition?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and yeah, she did mention too, she's talking to other people the whole time. And one thing I try to do is like disqualify, like on my initial calls, like, and what I mean by that is instead of saying like, well, I'll use an example, if someone is like, hey, I have other offers on the property. Hey, that's great. Why haven't you gone with them already? Yep. So, or if they're like, hey, I could just fix up the property myself. That's awesome. How come you haven't done that?
Yeah.
And I get more out of those questions than if you try to like convince someone and you try to chase someone, like they're just going to run the other way. So I almost try to push them away from me as much as I can.
Yeah. You want to be their last choice. You want to solve the problem. And if sellers are trading their equity for speed and convenience. So why in the world would they do that when they could list it, or they could do the repairs themselves and make a little bit more money? You want to rule that out. And it sounds like you did that.
Yeah. And so to answer your question though, is like, okay, I'm the lowest offer. How did we even like get to the point of talking about signing a contract together? First of all, like at the end of every call, I'm like, hey, if anything changes, if we're not a good fit, like no hard feelings, like if anything changes, give me a call back. And I'll leave it at that. And then I'm following up, like, if it's a hot lead, I'm following up like at least every week, every few weeks. But so we kept in touch. And from that first initial offer, which was the day after the lead came in, we didn't actually lock up the contract for, I believe, another 2 or 3 months after that.
So the lead came in, and within 24 hours, you had already made an offer to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it took about a month of chasing her to get it under contract.
Right. And so the funny thing there too is how we were able to get it under contract is I didn't even call her back. She called me back. Okay. And she's kind of like complaining to me, and she's just like, well, first of all, she said the neighbor was going to buy the house and pay off her old taxes or the like unpaid balance on it. And what happened was the day that he was supposed to sign a contract with her, he pulled out of the deal entirely. And the seller was left in a worse position because literally the day after that, she was going to accrue some more interest on her unpaid taxes.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That is a bummer. Okay, well, led to more motivation, brought her back to you. She reached out to you. And now let me ask you this. It's 2 questions. Maybe it doesn't pertain to this deal, but you do a lot of it. A lot of acquisition wholesalers are confused on what does follow-up look like. Is it, hey, I'm calling and I'm coming up $1,000 every time I call you on my offer? Is it calling and saying, how was church on Sunday? Or are you watching the football game? What do your follow-ups look like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think at first, when I first got into wholesaling, like I would be too much of their friend and almost get friend zoned by sellers a lot of the time. And I'm like still very much like I try to become a friend, but more or less I try to become like a trusted like advisor, consultant. Yeah, someone that they know at the end of the day, if I sign a contract with Justin, he's the real deal. He's going to get it done.
Yeah.
So like, that's how I present myself now. So anyways, I forgot the question. You might.
Your follow-up, what do your follow-ups sound like, and what is the flow of that?
Gotcha. Okay, so follow-up now is like, if I'm calling someone back, it's pretty much saying, hey, were you able to sell that property? And 99% of the time I ask that, they're usually saying no. And one thing I learned too is like, I will always try to get a seller to say no to me as many times as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're in sales at all, like you probably know that, like, if you're trying to get a seller to say yes, or even like anyone to say yes in general, there's just been so many bad salespeople over the years that like ask you these like yes or no questions that try to trap you. And so like I will always try to get them a no response back. But once again, it goes back to like that disqualification. Like I'm trying to almost like push you away so that you come chasing me at that point.
Yeah. And I like how your follow-up text is a little assumptive. Like, hey, you denied me. You said you had other offers. So I'm coming back and saying, hey, did you end up selling the property?
Yeah.
Then they got to tuck their legs a little bit and tell you no, and tell you why it probably didn't sell.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the way that you frame that question. So she calls you back. She says, hey, this and that happened. Are you still ready to do business? What's your offer? How does that look like?
Yeah. So pretty much, like she called me back, and all I asked her was like, hey, my partners were at like XYZ amount. Where's your head at now with that?
Mm-hmm. I like that question. And she says, what?
She was like, let's just do it.
Okay. So you ink her at 107.5. You have a 270 ARV. We deem it about 50K in repairs. You put it under contract. Is there any closing statements you're making to her, or how are you getting her prepared for it to be a wholesale transaction? Because me and Anthony, we're going to have to bring some buyers by. So what is your kind of expectations that you're setting with the seller? Because what I tell a lot of these younger or newer wholesalers is you're messing up the dispo in your acquisitions by the way that you're framing and who you're telling them that you are, whatever it might be. So how are you setting up your sellers for a dispo?
Yeah. So like you have to prepare the sellers for like what's going to come next. And if you don't do that too, not only does it hurt like the dispo side of things, but like when sellers sign a contract, they have buyer's remorse almost like the day after that. And if you don't give them the confidence of like, hey, here's what's going to happen next, they're going to come back to you. Or I've called sellers back and they've gone under contract with someone else. And I'm like, hey, when's the last time you heard from them? I haven't heard from them in 3 weeks. Yeah. And I'm like, holy smokes, they haven't seen the property. Like they haven't called, texted, like sent a carrier pigeon, nothing. Like, and it's amazing. And so like, I'm always setting the expectation of like, hey, here's next steps for us. Like we're going to have some contractors. We're going to have some partners that are going to come out. They're going to get scopes of work on the property. We're going to just like make sure the condition is what you told us it was, because keep in mind, I'm doing everything over the phone.
Yeah.
And so I just set that expectation too, as long as like everything checks out, like you said it was, then we'll have no issues. And really, we're just walking the property to confirm the condition that you told us it was in.
I love it. So Justin he runs his own wholesale business, and mostly all acquisitions. And the way that me and Justin partner up is after he gets the deal under contract, he'll reach out to me, and then we'll go out and do the dispo for the deal. So let me show how the marketing went for the deal that we began to market. So this is what it looks like off of email. For dispo, we do a lot of email blasting. We build our buyers list every week. It's highly curated. We know who's looking in what counties. But this is the way that it looks to our buyers when we send it off to their email. So we start off by just telling them, I didn't even know I was going to draw. I don't know how to erase that. But we start off by telling them where the city is. If it's going to be, in DeSoto or Duncanville or Dallas, we want that for our buyers to see that right away, so they know exactly where our deal is and if it's of interest to them. We want it to be catchy, but with facts. So we're saying, hey, we got a brick 321, and it's in the Oak Cliff area. Dallas is big, so we wanted to niche it down. there's certainly buyers who are just buying in Oak Cliff. So that's who we wanted to target. So our marketing, are you still seeing? Okay, perfect. So our marketing, we start off with just our branding and logo. We want our buyers to know who's sending the deal. We're always niching down our marketing. So if we don't know, if they're just in our main DFW list, we're hoping that they can reach out to us and tell us exactly what counties they want to see, just so we're not giving them deals that they don't want to see. We lead off with a front image of our property. You see it's a nice brick 3-bed, 2-bath home, something that most people would want. We do first come, first serve on most of our marketing. We want to make it really clean and easy for our buyers to know exactly what number they need to hit in order to buy the deal. Robert, do you guys do first come, first serve, or are you guys just trying to maybe make it a little bid war?
Yeah, most of the time we do first come, first serve.
Yeah, make it easy, right?
Yeah, all those offers start coming in, and yeah, it starts to get a little crazy.
Yeah, I love it. So we do first come, first serve on most of our deals. And now the back of the napkin math that we had on this deal is an easy formula that you guys can do to decide a dispo price. Is it's your ARV minus 10%. So say this is 270 to make it clear, minus 27,000. And then you're going to double up on your repairs. So our repairs are 50K. So I'm going to take that number and I'm going to minus 100,000. So I'm at 243 right now. I minus 100,000. That's 50 times 2. And that puts us at 143,000. That's what the rough estimate says that we should dispo our deal at. So we put our price right above that at 145. First come, first serve. And then we just tell them what we have. We have a link to click on our property so they know exactly where in the world it's at. And then we have a link to click on photos. And this is what Justin, you did a good job at getting these. This is a lot of photos. How did you get these photos for this property?
So I use a service. It's called Investor Boots. And pretty much what it is, it's like the Uber for notaries. So you can think about, like, if you need a notary in a certain area, like this platform will connect you with them. They'll go out and get the photos. It does cost like a good chunk of change. Like it's like $150. But the way I rationalize that is, like, if I'm calling, like if I can make a 30K assignment fee again on my next call, my time is better spent doing that than going out, getting in traffic, you know, all that stuff. Just have someone else do it and send over the photos.
Yeah. So these are I'd call them decent photos, not the best in the world, but typically when you're taking photos of a property, you want at least 50. You want all the exterior sides, front and back, both sides. Take pictures of the AC unit. Try to get a picture of the roof. Like, this is a pretty good picture of the roof. You can see exactly what condition it's in, but you want to make sure you take as many photos as you can. It's better to take more photos than less. But after we show our photos, we're just leading off with the facts. All of our marketing on our side, we want to drive conversation to Anthony. Anthony's our dispo manager. We want Anthony on the phone. We don't want people giving them the whole story on email and then they can just buy it off of email. We want these guys calling us. We want to vet them. We want to have a conversation with them. So we just lead with facts. 3-bed, 1.5 bath, 1,075 square feet, 1963 year build, 1-car garage. And that's how big our yard is. Typically, most of our marketing, we don't do this. But for this one, we saw an opportunity to come up on our ARV if our buyer turned that half bath into a second full bath, which we saw. So we're not going to leave the buyers in mystery. We're going to tell them, hey, this is how we came to our number. So we put that there. We put that in there so we can show them, hey, this is the way we're imagining getting in that number. We want you to know that as well. And then we just tell them the big ticket items on condition. This is what we know about foundation. There may be a foundation problem in the master bedroom. Could be a ripple in the subfloor. The doors aren't sticking. The roof was replaced within the last 5 to 10 years. Typically, we don't want to give a range like that. It's better to just go with roof is 10 years old than guess 5 years and, you know, mislead your buyer. HVAC needs a replacement. Plumbing, trees grew into the pipes. Electrical isn't grounded. Showing Thursday. So we let off. We told them everything we know about the majors in terms of our condition. And then we're going to tell them when we're showing it, whether it's on lockbox and vacant or it's owner or tenant occupied, we're always saying showing Thursday or whatever day we want to show it. We don't want to just say vacant on lockbox, here's the code. Again, we want Anthony on the phone. We want him asking questions, figuring out, who's cash, how quick can they close? Are they buying in this area? What is their situation looking like? So even if we are doing a showing on Thursday from 10 to 12, we're never going to broadcast that time. Nobody in the world can come to our showings unless they call us and they're scheduled. And we can talk about that at a different time. But that is how our marketing looks, always showing, and then they're going to call Anthony. We give them our closing terms, cash or hard money only, $5K non-refundable. Here's our title company. Here's the occupancy, and here's the close date. Then they give Anthony a call. And so for this one, we ripped this one off. Let me see. I had the time here. We ripped this one off at noon on February 5th. And again, we do a lot of email blasts. We have thousands of buyers on our email list. And within minutes, Anthony was getting a call because this is, again, Oak Cliff area, brick 3-2. This is exactly what investors want for fix and flip or buy and hold. But after we send that marketing off, Anthony, you were getting calls pretty shortly after that. So how did those calls go for you, Anthony? What are the buyers calling and telling you?
Yeah, I mean, Chris's process is pretty dope. It's pretty much plug and play at that point, right? And the buyers, I think it was like second call or third call for that deal. I think first call or second call, they were asking about when the showing is. I scheduled one, and then the second or third call was that buyer, and he was ready to go. He saw the vision on the garage conversion, and we just did the vetting, kind of made sure he was either cash or hard money. EMD could be in the same day, if not next day, within 24 hours. Asking these qualifying questions and wrap the deal up. He was ready to go at asking price.
And I believe, right, Anthony, he wanted to give a sight unseen offer, right? We
Yeah,
made
that's
him
right.
walk it.
Yeah, he did. He did want to give a sight unseen and just to avoid anything with buyers coming back and saying, hey, I didn't see this part of it. We just kind of told him, hey, why don't you walk by it, drive by it, or go check it out real quick, and then to be sure, and then we locked it up right then and there because he was down the street. He was like 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
Buyer's office.
Exactly right. Yeah. So Anthony gets a call. Buyer wants it right away. He knows it's going to be a great project for him, and it's not going to last long. But because Anthony's phone was getting blown up, we weren't in a rush to accept a sight unseen offer. I don't want this guy to drop $5K hard and then go and walk it tomorrow and say, you didn't tell me you had a rat problem or whatever it might be.
Yeah, exactly.
We want our buyers to know what they're getting. So Anthony says, hey, would love to give it to you, but I need you to go and walk it first. Guy says, I'm 10 minutes down the road. Give me a second. He goes there, and then I think in 15 minutes he calls you back and says he wants it. So some of the qualifying questions that Anthony and us are asking are, one, how are you financing this deal? Is it cash or is it hard money? Private money? If it's a hard money, who's your hard money lender? How often do you work with them? 2, are you familiar with the area? 3, have you reviewed the photos? Do you agree with our numbers? If not, where are your numbers at and why? Because again, ARV is not a magic formula for everybody to get to the same number. We all look at these deals differently. Totally fine that we do, but we're just looking for one buyer to agree with us on our numbers. And so this guy wrapped it up really quick. We got earnest money in the same day, and I don't remember us having any title issues or any hurdles that way. Did we, Justin?
No, surprise. Like, I was so surprised because the way this kind of lady was, operating, like, I'm surprised there wasn't like some judgments or liens or something like that. But yeah, it was clear.
Yeah, I love it. So for the dispo of it, because it was a slamming deal right there in the center of Dallas, our numbers were right on. We didn't try to get too greedy with it. Of course, we want our buyers to make profits so they can return to us and buy more properties. And this buyer tried to buy another one from us last week, Anthony, but he was a second too slow. So really simple, clean, easy deal. Justin did a month worth of follow-up to get the seller ready to go. But Justin, any other takeaways that you have from your acquisition side that you might want to bring up?
Not from acquisitions. Like all I'll say about like working with Chris and Anthony on the Dispo side is like I've worked with other Dispo people before, and like they keep you updated like every step of the way. They're willing to go out of their way to make sure like the deal like goes through and that you can also like make the most money on it too. And so like I mean, I think we've done like what 6 or 7 deals up to this point.
Yep.
And I never have to worry about, is Chris working my deal? I know he's got like a huge buyers list. I know Anthony is like out there hustling too. So it's like my mind is at ease and I can just go back to focusing on the acquisition side. And that's why I team up with Chris. Like I could try to dispo these myself. And on some of them, I still do if I know certain buyers in the area. But it's just so much easier at this point in my business to team up with someone who has experience like Chris and just have him do what he specializes in. So like it's been like not to glaze you too hard, Chris, but like it's been great working with you and Anthony and yeah, I mean it's been a good partnership for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I see your claps, Robert. Thank you. Yeah, bro. We're easy Dispo. We try to live up to it, make your life easy, make our buyers' lives easy, and then we'll take on all the headaches, and then we'll cry about it later with dollar bills. Anybody have any acquisitions questions for Justin? Justin is locking up. I mean, I think he's averaging $30K a month right now, maybe a little bit more, but this is a guy who's been in the trenches. He's in the trenches every day. He's getting beat up every day, learning how to be better every day. So if you can ask him a question here or reach out to him at any point. I know he's big on go giving and very, very big on return and value. But Justin, how do people reach out to you? And if you're open to any JV opportunities, what would that look like, and how do they get a hold of you for that?
Yeah, for sure. I can just post my number. Like I don't mind giving it away. I'll post it in the chat. So best way would just be like text me. If you need help, like locking up a deal, like really, I'm doing my own marketing and I'm busy all day long with my leads. But if you have a qualified lead and you know it's someone where it's like you're really close, you just can't figure out how to get it over the edge, like that's the perfect opportunity for us to work together. And you sent one guy over to me, Chris. He did this whole PPL campaign and just didn't have enough time to get around to it. And he sent us over like 80 leads. And so working with him, we keep him updated every Friday and just let him know what's going on with the leads, keep him in the loop, just like you do with me on the Dispo side. So really that's how, we could work together in the future with anyone who's interested in that.
I love it. Appreciate you jumping on here with us, Justin. Thank you for your time. We are having our in-person mastermind. If you haven't been to a Doing DFW Deals event, it will be on April 5th in Fort Worth from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have Zach Cedino, who's knocking down deals off of PPL. He's going to speak. And then we have Courtney Johnson, who does a lot of marketing for, including myself, and a lot of much bigger wholesalers who are direct to sellers. So make sure you join that event. We'll keep doing these deal breakdowns. And then next week, I'm going to have LeCedric come in here and do a sales training for acquisitions as well. So appreciate you guys joining. I'm sure the crowd will continue to grow, but jump in the community, interact. It's all about collaboration and abundant spirit and making money together. So appreciate you guys, and let's continue knocking deals down. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Later.
See ya.
Thanks, Chris. You guys have a good evening.
You too.
Peace.